Okay, I'm sure you've noticed that I'm continuing to add flour. So I started with 4 cups of red flour and 1 cup of whole wheat and about a half cup of rye. But I'm adding more because it's still pretty wet. This is a tool that you should have. It's so helpful not only for helping you to move around the bread and the dough, but it's just good to clean off the counter too at the end. It's one of the best tools for that job. But it's really good for helping you to get the bread moving at first until you are able to get the dough together. So right now, it's important that you take a look at this dough and that really take a look, and I start to feel the dough. And right now it's still pretty wet, and I'm going to start to fold it. And notice there's quite a bit of flour still everywhere, and that's okay. And we're not going to add any more flour right now. It's still pretty sticky, but there's a lot of flour, and it's going to start to pick up the flour that's on the surface. And over time, as we knead it, it's going to start coming together. And we're going to do this kneading process for at least 10 minutes. It's a lengthy process, but this is part of taking time to do things, and part of the idea of me being more patient, right? It's doing that. But also in terms of nutrients of the bread, in my opinion, this is special because as I'm kneading it, all the nutrients and the salts and the minerals that are in my body and in my skin are going into the bread, right? And so something about the bread is changing. It's evolving to something brand new because of that. And that can't happen if you put it into a mixer, because now it's a completely different chemistry of metal and whatever else, whatever residue is in the machine too, will affect the bread. So I like to knead, and it's a great therapeutic almost process of creating the alchemy of bread with flour and water and salt. And did you know, I heard somewhere that you can't live with just flour and you can't live with just water. You'll eventually die. But if you combined water and with flour, and you create a fermentation and you're able to make bread, you could really live for a long time consuming this alchemy of food. And I'm telling you, one of the reasons that I'm doing this is because I've been making sourdough bread for a long time, and I love eating it. I love making it. I love eating other bread that people have made, and I want other people to learn how to make it. So mostly so they stop eating the bread that they consume at the stores, because a lot of that bread is not the best quality at all, and it's made very quickly in order to sell quickly, in order to make money quickly, but it's not there for your health. But sourdough bread is, and there's literally a renaissance. I know I'm called the Renaissance Man for my channel, but there really is a renaissance of sourdough bread happening right now, and it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And so I'm like, why not just hop on the bandwagon with everybody else and see if this video and channel can help a lot of people to learn how to make sourdough bread. So let's make some bread. It's so easy. Get a starter from somebody and get a couple tips from them, and maybe they'll even help you. If I'm close to you, I'll help you if I'm near you. And Avital too, she's really good at making sourdough bread. Hers is really special. Yeah, so it's kneading now. It's starting to get to the point where it's still a little bit sticky, but it's coming together. It's starting to stick to my hand. Your hands will get covered. I would take off rings. I would take off anything. Of course, wash your hands. But your hands are going to get dirty, and they're going to be covered in flour. And that's just part of the deal of making homemade sourdough bread, because it's part of the for me, the enjoyment of it. And I love it. I think it's really interesting to see how the dough changes and how it affects our bodies, and how it's becoming something new, and eventually we'll be able to cook it and then consume it. It's pretty interesting and really magical in a lot of ways. So it's still a little bit sticky now. Something I want to share